Welcome to our Vault Shorts. These are shorter episodes highlighting programs and resources here in our Billings community.
The following is a Big Sky Economic Development production.
It's Marce B.
And KaVo.
And this is The Vault at 201 North Broadway.
A business podcast.
Where we bring you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders of Montana.
To share their stories, expertise, industry insights, and strategies.
And we are sharing them all with you every single week.
You don't want to miss this.
Learn how to better start, manage, and grow your business.
And your leadership style.
Tangible takeaways to save you time and improve whatever it is that you're working on.
You're listening to The Vault.
Thank you to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The Small Business Development Center offers free personalized support from business plans to financial projections and beyond, empowering small businesses to thrive. Reach out to us at bigsky.economicdevelopment.org. Hey, Vault listeners, Marce B and I realized just the other day that we've been talking to you for well over 30 plus episodes, and we haven't really tackled the steps to actually start your business.
No, we didn't. And you know who's a really great expert in this is KaVo. She helps businesses do this every day through the Small Business Development Center. So, Kayla, let's get right into it. What are the technical steps to start a business?
Yeah, so the technical steps, and those of you listening that aren't in the Billings area, they all apply to you. The only thing is some places you have to go a little bit different to get that step done. So
based on the state you live in, right?
Based on the state that you live in, and then some things depending on the city you live in, right? So there's a step in there. We'll get to that. I don't know.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
It's coming.
So step one, we always mention just conduct a quick business search on the Secretary of State to make sure that the name that you're thinking isn't already taken. And that happens all the time is they get really excited. They just start registering and then they get, hey, this name's already taken. And then you're stuck in the middle of your registration going, well, what am I going to change my name to now? And then in that case, sometimes you're just not being thoughtful with your name choice because you're in the middle of your registration and you just have to pick a new thing. So
question to that. So that's Secretary of State. Is that looking nationwide or just within your state? Because I do know that there's been companies, right, that have a name like, I was going to use X, but I think that's Twitter now. So you have Disco Ball here, but then you have another Disco Ball company in Texas. Mm-hmm. We have Disco Balls in here, so that's why I'm referencing it. What can you talk us what that looks like?
Yeah, so in this case, you are looking just at your state. Now, in certain cases, what we will recommend is if you're going to be a business that's going to be potentially crossing state lines, is you need to do a search to see if that name's taken and trademarked. And so there's different ways that we could do that. But if you're just going to be a mom and pop shop here, let's say you're just going to be, a small restaurant here in Billings, Montana, you don't ever see that you're going to open up another location and you want to call yourself Ma's. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really matter if there's another Ma's in another state because you're not really going to encroach on their territory, right? But if you are thinking that, hey, I'm going to be a manufacturing company and my products are going to go in all the Walmarts, or I'm going to open up multiple locations throughout the nation, then you should be looking at what that name is nationwide. Thank you. Yeah. Can't speak this morning. So that is a good general rule of thumb. The other thing I will say is just take a quick Google of your name too. Sometimes we have clients that don't realize they just go ahead, register their name, and then they realize it's tied to something maybe unsavory that they don't want their business to be aligned with. And so always do just a quick Google search along with checking to see if that name's already taken with the Secretary of State.
I love that. So then even thinking globally, if you are going to be like an e-commerce online company, does that meaning of the name you want have, so if you're global, like thinking of the cultural implications of that name, of just making sure that it's not disrespectful in any ways, right?
Correct. Yeah. And that's happened, in multiple instances where, you don't mean anything by it, but then you release it and then all of a sudden you're getting this backlash when if you just did some additional research up front could have prevented that for you. So yes, definitely always recommend Googling it, understanding the meaning of what you're choosing, making sure there's no crimes or anything attached to that name, and then moving forward.
Step 1 is conduct a business name search to ensure your name's not already taken. Kayla, what's step 2?
So we always recommend consulting with your attorney and or CPA or accountant to make sure that you're choosing the right business entity for your business. Now, if you go ahead and you register as a sole proprietor and a year down the line you go, gosh, I should have been an LLC, what am I ever going to do? You can change your entities. It takes a little bit of extra paperwork and a process to go through, but you can definitely change your entities. So don't feel like, oh my God, I'm set in stone. Yeah, I'm cemented into this. So you can change it, but to just have a conversation, especially with your accountant, they may tell you right off the bat, you definitely need to be an LLC, and then you don't have to change it in a year.
Yeah, I like that. And we can do another episode later on an LLC, a sole proprietorship, all of those things are in a separate. But second thing, check with your attorney and CPA to make sure that you're choosing the right business entity for what you're doing.
Yes. And LLC is called a limited liability company. And so I just wanted to list that out. We get into our acronyms sometimes.
But I do. The LLC just sounds like, ooh.
So fancy.
Kayla, what's step 3?
So now that you've checked your name and you've talked to your accountant and attorney, you can move through and actually start that registration process with the Secretary of State. So like I said, every state has their own Secretary of State, and that is where you'll register your business, go back to where you were searching your name, and start that application process. There's always a little fee that is involved, and it's good for a year, but then you're active and in good standing with the Secretary of State, and if you're looking for financing, lenders look to make sure that that is in place.
And then do you renew that every year?
Yep, you renew that every year.
Is there a fee?
There is a renewal fee.
There is a fee.
Correct.
There's always a fee.
There's always a fee. And then after that, you can, now that you've registered with Secretary of State,
Step 4,
you just apply for your federal ID number. So now this step's a little bit different. If you're going to be a sole proprietorship, you can operate under your Social Security number. But if you don't want to do that, because you do have to supply that to vendors, you can apply for a federal ID number. LLCs and up, federal ID number is what you're going to need, which is your EIN, which might be more widely known. And that is just your business identification number.
Cool. So apply for the federal ID number, and then what's step 5?
Step 5 is dependent on the type of business that you're going to operate. So not every business needs a professional license, but some of them do. And so some of those businesses are typically ones that have a board that you have to take a test in order to get licensed. So that would be your cosmetologists, your doctors, your dentists, some types of construction.
Insurance.
Right,
financial planning.
Correct. You'll need a professional license for those. And so this step here just brings you to the page where you can register for your professional license if you need one. So owning a retail shop, owning a restaurant, you don't need a professional license for those, but you may need an inspection or a permit, which brings me to step 6.
Okay, step 6.
So step 6 is for businesses that have health standards that they have to align
like a restaurant.
With. Like a restaurant, tattoo parlors, piercing parlors. So places like that you would need to have hair salons.
Probably pet stores that sell live animals. Maybe not. Okay, we don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Okay.
But really, it's just person to person is mainly for that. So you'll need an inspection or permit for that. So you would go to your local county sanitarian. For us here in Billings, it's Riverstone Health. They're amazing to work with. We have a link that we have to share where you can go and start that process, where you can fill out your application online, and then they'll come in and do your inspection. And that is done on an annual basis. So for your inspections.
So every year. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're up to step 7. So on the home stretch, what's step 7, Kayla?
Yes, so step 7 is to obtain the business license for your city. So here in Billings, for any transaction that you're going to occur, you do need to have a business license in order to do that. So retail shops, but any business transaction that occurs within Billings city limits, you need a city business license for. Now, it gets a little tricky because if you're just mainly operating out in like Warden or Huntley or Shepherd, you don't need a business license. But if you're going to do transactions within Billings, you need a business license. And then you need to be mindful if you're going to do business within Bozeman, if you're going to do business in Red Lodge, what are those license requirements there?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then step 8.
Now you've got your permits, your licenses, your federal ID number, EIN number, your Secretary of State registration. You can now take that information and go set up a bank account, a business bank account with, I always say, a local bank. That means you're going to have a relationship, a local connection to somebody. We talked about this in our bail episode. You'll have a connection with somebody. So go to your bank and set up a business bank account.
So walking back before we get to the last 2 steps, these are all strategically in order, right? Because you need one for the other, and it's just sort of that domino effect, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So what we ran into and what made us want to put these steps to start your business together is that there wasn't anything out there that was clear about do this, then do this, then do this. And so we combined our brains at the SBDC and the Rock 31 to put together this list, and it is in order. So some of them obviously can be done simultaneously, but you do need like your business registration to be cleared through the Secretary of State. You do need your EIN number in order to set up your business bank account. So that's why it is step 8, so further down on the list, because it does take a couple business days for those things to come through.
And so if someone's starting a new business or thinking about it, just timeline wise, like 1, how long, a rough estimate does it take? And then we still have 2 other steps, but to get like step 1 through 7 done to get to the bank, and then thinking about that too. So that's question 1. Question 2 for you, Kayla, is when should someone be doing, if they're thinking about starting a business, like, is there a certain timing within a year that's ideal, or is it just really whenever you're ready to launch your business?
Yeah. So, to answer your first question is timeline wise. So, to give you an idea, your first step, is going to take you minutes to do, because you're just checking your business name. Consulting with your CPA or your attorney, that's just dependent on their schedule. Maybe it's just a quick phone call. Realistically, with the Secretary of State, it can take 3 to 5 business days to get that approved. They do have expedited options, and so you could get your registration back even sooner. But I would say between step 1 and step 7, omitting step 6, you could get that done easily within a week.
Okay, so it's a really fast process.
Step 6 is different because you're on the sanitarian's schedule for inspection and application approval. So they typically try to respond, if I remember correctly, to applications within, I think, 7 to 10 business days, and then it's scheduling your inspection. So there's different high times of the year of when those inspections are a little bit harder to get in on. So it just depends on your starting there. To answer your second question, if you just have your idea and you haven't ironed out anything yet, I wouldn't register. I would wait until you are ready to register, because it can make a huge difference. So if you have your business idea in November and you're not launching it until February, I wouldn't start your business in November, because then you're going to have to do reporting for the year. Since you started in November, it would make more sense to start in February. So when you're ready to pull that trigger and get started is when I would say move through this process. But again, if you're a business that needs inspection or permits, you might need to speed that up in different areas in order to get that process going.
Okay. Thank you for answering those questions. On to step 9.
Yeah. So step 9. So after you've got all of these other steps completed, and mind you, some of these can be done simultaneously. And so, but you're going to want to talk to an insurance agent about purchasing general liability insurance and then any other applicable business insurance for your business.
Depending on the type of business you are and what kind of insurance you'll need.
And you'll talk to your insurance agent about that, and she'll be able to tell you, or he or she, sorry. Yep. I don't know why I just said she. Maybe because I always think of mine. But they will be able to tell you, dependent on what your business is, what kind of insurance they would encourage you to have. And so one of the big things that's big due to other like hacking and things that have occurred over the last several years, is cybersecurity insurance for your business, especially for e-commerce.
Which is huge. And we have trainings on that.
Correct. Yep,
right.
We have.
Which is great. Okay. Step 10.
Yeah, so step 10, again, this kind of ties with step 9, is work with your insurance agent and your accountant to determine if you need workers' compensation or if you as a contractor need to file for an independent contractor's exemption certificate. So they call that an ICEC, is what your accountant will probably refer to it as. I don't know, I'm struggle busing today.
It's like a lot of letters together.
It is. Yeah. We love our acronyms here. But so the big thing is if you're going to have employees work for you, then you need workers' comp insurance. If you don't have employees, you still have the opportunity to opt into workers' comp. If you choose to not have workers' comp, then you need to get an independent contractor's exemption certificate.
And is that renewed every year?
That is on a 2-year renewal basis.
Oh, that's nice. So it gives you a little time.
It does give you some time. But I will say, if you're one of those businesses that needs an ICEC, Independent Contractors Exemption Certificate, and you don't have it and you get asked for it, you could lose bids and jobs.
Because you don't have it.
Because you don't have it. Because what that is saying is that you're taking on the responsibility and liability of your own injury. Mm-hmm. And so that business or home that you're going into isn't going to take on that liability. And so that's why you're going to lose out on a job, because nobody wants their insurance to have to pay if you got injured because you don't have the appropriate steps or insurances in place.
Yeah. And what I love about all these things that you just talked about are, so one, if you've been previously taking notes, we love that, but we also have all of these steps and then links that go with each step that, if it's the Secretary of State, where to go for the federal ID number. So we talked about these things, but we also link on rock31.org, all of these steps we outline, thanks to Kayla and her team with SBDC. And we also, within those steps, like I mentioned, the ones that have federal ID number or where to obtain your business license for billing specific, we link all of that. So it's just right there for you. So you don't have to go searching and click maybe the wrong link for
absolutely
the wrong state or something on accident. We have it all linked for you.
Well, and I will also say we have vetted these links, and that is super important because especially with the federal ID number, if you just Google, I need to get an EIN number for my business, there's a lot of different sites that are going to come up. And it's free. You don't need to pay for it. And sometimes people come to us and they're like, well, I paid $300 for it. And it's like, well, where did you go? Because they probably just Googled it and clicked the first thing. Mm-hmm. And that is when you kind of get in trouble. So these are vetted links. So go on and utilize these. If you're not here in Montana, contact your local SBDC. They're going to have the right links for you.
And some of these will be helpful to you. Kayla, thank you for walking us through the 10 steps to start your business.
Yeah, no problem. I just want to leave us with one quote from Arthur Ashe. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Make sure you are subscribed to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, wherever you podcast, including YouTube.
Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway and Instagram at The Vault_201.
Don't forget to visit us at thevault@201.com and subscribe to our newsletter.
We will see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you to Big Sky Economic Development for supporting The Vault at 201 North Broadway. Big Sky Economic Development provides leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, and community development. If you are starting a business, growing or expanding your business, diversifying your customer base, or maybe you're looking for business trainings to attend to continue to learn and grow, they're excited and here to help. Even if you're thinking of relocating your company into Billings, they're a resource for you. BSED also provides resources for community development initiatives by planning, partnering, and managing projects and administering grants for redevelopment and placemaking. Their workforce development program brings together industry and education partners to anticipate and respond to community workforce needs. And they provide talent attraction and retention resources for your business to use under the community brand Better Off in Billings. BSED's Rock 31 program is focused on helping startups thrive. And in their location in downtown Billings, they have 2 floors dedicated to co-working and additional spaces throughout their building open to the community to host their meetings, events, and trainings. Visit bigskyeconomicdevelopment.org. Again, that's bigskyeconomicdevelopment.org, or follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn.